Welcome to this presentation on the Korbonos Spreadsheet. I'm glad you're able to look at this with me, and we'll go through it together. What we want to answer is a couple of questions. What Korbonos do I need to bring for Pesach? And we'll take a look at the following two scenarios. Number one is, what Korbonos do I need to bring for Erev Pesach? And also, what Korbonos do I need to bring for the Korban of Yontif? And we will be looking at a couple of different ways of doing this. One is using the built-in filters, and the more exciting thing is we'll go through how to build your own filters so that we can answer this question and other types of questions that you may come up with. First of all, I'd like to point out the Korbonos Spreadsheet links. They're listed here. They will also be in the description of the video. And if you forget any of these, what you can do is you can Google Korbonos Spreadsheet. And the last time I did that, the first result on the list was the general YouTube instruction on the Korbonos Spreadsheet. And again, there you will find links to all of the different documents, the spreadsheet itself and the documentation on it. So now we are in the Korbonos Spreadsheet, and the table of contents is the full carbon listing, which is the detail on the next tab. We'll go into there shortly, and the filtered lists and a couple of other tabs, which the full instructional video will describe in more detail, the 4 Korbonos types and the animal types, and the additional links and documentation. What I'm going to do, we're going to start with is the the pre-filtered lists. And again, my questions were: what do we bring? What Korbonos do we need to bring on Pesach? And first, we will start with the Korbonos for Erev Pesach, and you'll see there are 4 different columns for different common situations, and filtered for those common situations. So Erev Pesach falls out on a weekday, we will use the link to bring us to the built-in filter, and that will tell us what Korbonos are brought. And I'll see Google will bring me up an information which I'm going to dismiss, and what I will see is the Korbonos, all the Korbonos that are brought on Erev Pesach. It'll include the Korban Tamid, Kitz Mizbeach, if there's no other Korbonos to be brought on a day, and Erev Pesach, that's probably not too likely, but just in case, and also the Chavitim of the Kohen Gadol. Besides that, there'll be the Chagigas Yudalid and the Korban Pesach. Now, what we'll want to do is filter this a little bit more precisely. The question again was, what Korbonos do we bring Erev Pesach? So in part 2, we will go through together and explore how to customize the filtered list for our own filtered list so that it'll only display these 2 items and not display the Korban Tzibur or the Korbonos that are not specific to Erev Pesach. So that was actually the first scenario on what Korbonos do we bring on Erev Pesach. Let's go to the Korbonos of Yontif itself. So let's go back to our table of contents or common scenarios, and we will say, all right, the first day of Pesach this year falls out on Shabbos. So now, what do I bring? What do I need to bring on the first day of Pesach? So I will go to this pre-filtered list, and I will select it. Google requires a 2-step selection in order to do that, and I will see what is brought in all the Korbonos that are brought in the Bais Hamikdash on the first day of Pesach. Now you'll notice, except for the Chavitim of the Kohen Gadol, there's nothing here that's a Korban Yochid. And then, oh yes, the first day is Shabbos, so there's nothing that I will bring of the Korbonos that I need to bring for Yontif. I do not bring any of them on Shabbos. So let's go back to my info table of contents, and I will need to wait to bring my Korbonos to until the day after Shabbos, until Sunday. Now, there's also Pesach. The second day of Pesach is a bit different, and we'll see that in a moment when I go to my pre-filtered list of all the korbanos that are brought the second day of Pesach, and we'll see not only we'll see here are the ones that are interesting to us, but we will also see the Korban HaOmer is brought on the second day of Pesach. Now, what is one thing that's interesting here, and we can explore that as well, is with the Korban HaOmer, we also have how it is made, and we'll see that this is it is made out of Saurim, barley, and we'll take a look and we'll explore together. Is that the only korban that is made out of Saurim, out of flour? Normally, the menachos are made out of fine flour. So we'll save that for part 2, and we can look at that as well as another query. But in any case, what I see now is here are the korbanos that I as an individual would bring, and we'll take a look at this in more detail in part 2 of this, which we will go to at this very moment. So what I've done is what we've done together is we've looked at the filters of the pre-made filters of those korbanos that are brought in the Bais Hamikdash. But again, what we want to answer is the question is what does each individual need to bring for Pesach? So in order to do that, we will create our own filters. And if I X out of this, I will exit the filtered view of the pre-built filters, and this will give me the entire list. So now what I want to do is I am going to create my own temporary filtered view. So what we are going to do is determine what are good attributes to use as a filter. The very first thing that I can think of is what do we need to bring individually so we can quickly eliminate anything that's a carbon sibor. So all we have is a carbon yochid. So I've used the drop downs, and I selected which I want, and I hit the OK button. And I didn't point out before, but you'll see some of these pop-ups that come up occasionally. What it is anytime I have this kind of a symbol in the upper left-hand side, it is a comment that is here. And the other thing that I didn't point out until now is that any of these plus signs can be clicked on, and there'll be an English translation, and most of the comments are also translated into English. So it is bilingual, but the Hebrew is the only thing that displays by default. So what I've done now is I've isolated, I only have a carbon yochid, but I need to filter this a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is try to take a look down, and I remember, because I looked at it before, that the description here is they are brought on the 14th of Nisan. So what I can do here is I'm going to filter this column, and I'm going to clear all my existing selections, and then I'm going to go find Yud Daled Nisan. So now what we've been able to do is display just the korbanos that are brought on the 14th of Nisan. So I have the Chagigas Yudalad, which is listed first, and that is a korban that is brought just in case we don't have enough people, that people will have enough to eat by the Korban Pesach. So the Korban Pesach has to be eaten while what is full. So they'll bring the Chagigas Yudalad first, so that is optional, and you'll see that it is one of the attributes here will say chiyuv or nedava right here. So that's voluntary, but the Korban Pesach is a chiyuv. Now you'll notice it says Doma L'Shlomim. It just we go with the Rambam's going according to what the Rambam says, and the Rambam has a description that it is Doma L'Shlomim, and there's a reference as to where that occurs, where he mentions that in the description. Okay, so what we've done so far together is looked at the Korbonos of Erev Pesach. Now let's try to look at the Korbonos that one would need to bring on Pesach. So I'm going to select all in a way of clearing this filter, and then what is a good parameter to take a look at to determine what are the Korbonos that I need to bring on Yontif. So those are really of the Korbonos that I would have to bring on any of the Sholosh Regalim. So I could just take some of the text here and let's take a look at that together. So I will just copy Regalim and do a filter based upon the contents of the word Regalim. So I'm in my filter screen, and I'm just going to hide this filter by values, select filter by condition, and I'm going to say text contains and Regalim. And now I will see the 4 Korbonos that we need to bring for the Sholosh Regalim. Now, there will be an Olas Re'iyah, and you'll see that there are 2 lines with the Olas Re'iyah. The first line is an animal. The second line is an oaf. We go according to the Rambam, as I explained, and the Rambam has a shita that I can bring an Olas Oaf. Others question that shita of the Rambam, but in any case, we're going according to the Rambam. And then we have a Chagiga and a Shalmei Simcha. So now we have gone through and explored all the Korbonos that I need to bring as an individual on Yontif. So now, Mirz Hashem, I am ready for Pesach, and hopefully we will all be in the Bais Hamikdash together this year, and we will be able to bring the Korbonos. One more item that I wanted to go through together is, remember I mentioned that Korban Ha'omer comes from Seorim, and are there other Korbonos that come from Seorim? So this is kind of a little bit of a bonus. I am going to delete my filter. Well, not delete the filter, but exit out of the filter view. And I'm going to click on one of the column headers and create a new temporary filtered view. And as I go scrolling down into where the menachos are, so this was where I had the information about Seorim. So I'm going to do this similar type of filter that it contains Seorim, and have that filter view, and I will see that actually the Omer is one of 2. It's the only Korban Tzibur that is Seorim. There is a Korban Yochid for a Sota that is also made out of Seorim, but those are the only 2. Everything else in the Bais Hamikdash is solas, is fine flour. I hope you enjoyed looking at this together with me, and once again, if you have any suggestions, any comments, or need any help, or would like any help in going through this, please contact me at my email address, which is on in the table of contents sheet and in any of the documentation. Thank you, and have a good Yontif, Chag Kosher v'Sameach, and we look forward to, if you have any questions, to contacting me and enjoying the Korbonos Spreadsheet.